However, there's another area. And John writes his gospel. And he says this. You got to go to the end of John to get to why he started at the beginning. It's sort of like a love letter. Remember when you used to get love letters? You went to the end of the letter to discover if it was any worthwhile going to the front to start it. Because if it didn't finish good, there's no use starting it. But if it finished with, I love you, I miss you, I can't wait to see you, boy, to the front and start reading. That's really, I see some of you don't remember, it was so long ago. But that's really what John is doing. He's gone all the way through and he says this, and many other miracles Jesus did that are not written in this book. But these ones are written that you might believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, and that believing you might have life through his name. So he wrote to give the evidence that Jesus was the Son of God, God in the flesh. And he used the area of miracles. True miracles are above nature, not against nature. They are the manifestation of a higher order or a higher law, which the lower law must obey. So said Philip Schaff. But what about Jesus himself? Well, in John chapter 10, we read, he's pushed into a corner of the temple. They begin asking him questions, so they say to him, tell us honestly, who are you? And he says, if you don't believe what I'm saying, please open your eyes and believe the things that you see me doing. For the miracles I do in my Father's name, they are my evidence. What was he saying? Hey, you're not going to listen to me. At least watch me. The miracles I do in my Father's name, they are my evidence. But you see, here's the interesting thing. We live in a day and an age when miracles are meant to be out the window. But the more science and philosophy has tried to debunk miracles, the more people have got empty and continually look for them in every area they can go in. From the psychic area, into the tarot cards, into the horoscope, so that you will read more than you've ever read before on the miraculous. Because there is an emptiness in human beings that longs for reality. The problem is what happens if you get the wrong answers that seem to fulfill, but in the end destroy. So what were the reasons for the miracles? Well, Jesus performed miracles to help the need of the person. You and I know that, don't you? He made blind people to see. Why? Because they were blind. Lame people to walk because they were lame. He did it to help the need. So he fed the hungry. He made the deaf hear. He made the dumb speak. The mute speak. He made those who were blind see. He fed the hungry. He even raised the dead. So Jesus performed miracles never for show, but for evidence. But not only did he perform them to help the need, he performed them, as I said, to authenticate the claim. Because always, claims must have evidence. And so he claimed to be the Messiah, the Christ, the promised one. He claimed to be the Emmanuel, the Son of God, the God with us. Now, what are the objections to miracles? Well, probably the biggest objection ever made and still used in many philosophy classes and universities and colleges was the one made by a Scotsman, David Hume. David Hume said this: the Christian religion not only was first attended with miracles, but even at this day cannot be believed by any reasonable person without one. I agree. So he's not saying anything against it there. He's saying there have to be miracles if you're going to believe what's there. But he's setting it all up to knock it down. So he says this. Here's his test. If we take in our hands any volume of divinity or school of metaphysics, for instance, let us ask, does it contain any abstract reasoning concerning quantity or number? No. Does it contain any experimental reasoning concerning matter of fact and existence? No. Commit it then to the flames, for it contains nothing but sophistry and illusion. Now, let me break this down a little. He's saying, if what someone claims cannot pass the test of mathematics and science, commit it to the flames, burn it, because it contains nothing but illusion and delusion. You got the weakness of that. His own test fails the test. It cannot be proven by science or math. So what do you do with the test? You burn it. And this becomes the illogical, that people get to the point where they think they can take something that has never been tested to dismiss things that can be tested. And so it doesn't stand up. And so over and over again, what we discover, the miracle stands up. Let me give you an example of what happened to me. I was in a school in Scotland. I was there for a week. I was doing religious education classes. I was in with the head of the education department. I'd done my presentation. That particular one was on the miracles. I asked for questions, and he said, by the way, can I just say something before questions? Absolutely. I said, class, you've heard me say that miracles never happened, and I've given you 3 reasons why miracles never happened, and I'm going to give you a 4th reason why miracles never happened. Now I'm thinking, what's he going to say? Basically, this is what he said. Jesus never performed tricks. That was it. So I then said, do you mind if I answer your question? No, not at all. I said, I couldn't agree more with your head RE teacher, religious education. I couldn't agree more. Jesus never performed tricks. My question is, who said he did? There's a whale of a difference between a trick and a miracle, isn't there? Try and remember. You ever see this on television? A woman in a well-shaped bikini being put inside a box with round holes for windows. And she goes in, walks so beautifully, and she closes the door on her. And then the illusionist takes long spikes and puts them in at all different angles. And you think, oh my goodness, this woman's coming out leaking. And the door opens, and she comes out, and there's not a scratch on her. What's that? It's a trick. It's an illusion. Or she's been put in a hollowed-out tree log and sawn in half. You seen that one? It's an illusion. I said to them, Jesus never performed tricks. He made blind people see, and deaf people hear, and mute people speak. And he fed the hungry. But the greatest evidence of all, we'll look at it in our next session. And it's the foundation of the Christian faith. It's the rock on which it builds. And it's the rock that never moves. So see you later. Thank you.